I can feel the dislike buttons on fire already. It's getting hot in here. So you don't have a green thumb, or you're not like a houseplant expert. Hey guys, welcome back to Help You Love Orchids. Thanks for checking in. I just think, one of the biggest myths out there is that somehow orchids are for advanced growers or not for beginners. And I really think orchids, many of them are really easy to grow, even for somebody's first houseplant. So that's why I think maybe an orchid should be someone's first houseplant. The answer is more nuanced than that, right? The greater picture of orchids is, of course, not so black and white. Shout out to you older, more experienced growers. Don't be so stingy with your plants, and take one of your nice phals and maybe give it to the grandkid or the niece or nephew. It's kind of one of our things here. If you are new to our channel, we just really want to spread the joy of orchids and show people that they are actually fairly easy to grow at home without a lot of work and effort and stuff. Why do I think this? Well, of course, that's I can feel the people are like, whatever. There are certainly some very complicated orchids that maybe are best reserved for more advanced growers, more experienced growers, which maybe that could be you one day. And certainly we hope that's us one day as we learn more and grow in our orchid journey. Let's delve into why I think new growers, maybe like yourself, would find orchids easy to grow. Just a little bit of background. I mean, I've been growing every kind of houseplant imaginable for the last 20 years. I've tried everything. I've had many other houseplants. Compared to those, once I kind of figured out orchids and took the time to learn a little bit about them, back in the day, I had killed a few like pre-internet days and YouTube. I had, had a couple orchids and didn't really know what I was doing. I tried growing them in soil, and of course they all died. So they kind of gave up because orchids had this like mystique around them, and I was like, I can't do that, whatever. Fast forward 20 years, I owe it to the boss. She had a few orchids here when we got together and had success with them, and just kind of helped me to learn what to do. When you compare them to other houseplants, certainly a few things just for direct comparisons on why I think they're good first-time plants. First of all, the plants are actually really easy to read. Orchids, compared to a lot of plants, when you start to lose other houseplants, it's usually with the roots, of course, as always, but with orchids, it's just easier to diagnose what's going on with them and what you need to do with them pretty much straight away. I mean, you look at the roots, and 9 times out of 10 for us, it's like, okay, we need to change something there. So it's just very easy to diagnose problems. And like bugs and viruses, well, first of all, on the virus thing, I mean, if you're just a regular average orchid grower at home with a few orchids, who cares about viruses? I mean, honestly, that's like such an overblown thing. And for the average person, who cares about viruses? And for bugs, I mean, yeah, all houseplants get bugs. And certainly through the years, I've had much more serious infestations of insects and plagues of different bugs that have killed plants outright. Whereas the orchids, I mean, yes, we have bugs. Again, I mean, occasionally you see things pop up in the garden, but they're, again, I think pretty easy to take care of compared to most other houseplants. And I attribute a lot of that to the media they grow in, and there's not soil, which is really dense and compact, and it's really hard to get things out. Whereas, just with orchid media, it's pretty easy to clean the soil out and get rid of a lot of stuff. I mean, there's only a few leaves on most of the plants. I mean, some of our older, bigger phals, of course, have a lot of leaves, and some of the paphs also carry some leaves. But when you compare it to like a ficus or Christmas cactus or a bamboo or some of the, these regular houseplants, I mean, and our succulents right now are just full of bugs. They're all in quarantine away from all the rest of the orchids and houseplants because they're just impossible to get rid of the bugs in the succulents. Like there's all these little crannies. And on the orchids, for most of the ones that are easy to grow at home, there's just, I mean, it's so easy to see them and take care of them. So that's like just another myth, you know. It's like, yeah, all plants get bugs, and so do orchids, but I mean, generally, again, they're way easier to take care of. Another thing, another myth about this orchid mystique is that they're only grown for their flowers or something, and that's just I don't understand where that comes from. Like, I really don't get it. I mean, I think they're just really beautiful plants, and you can get so many different types that are easy to grow at home that have a lot of different leaf shapes and types, and even vanilla, the spice that you get for baking and stuff. That's an orchid you can grow inside. Not a plant that's just grown for its flowers. I mean, this is a nice vine grower, and you can grow it in your kitchen. I mean, they crawl up and around. They're fantastic plants and really easy to grow. You don't need complicated gadgets and all kinds of environmental controls to grow most of your regular indoor household phalaenopsis or paphiopedilums even. They're low light plants compared to, again, a lot of the typical house plants that are grown. I mean, these guys don't take a lot. You can grow them almost anywhere. And just grown for their flowers, I mean, I just don't accept that. Look at the foliage is so cool on Phalaenopsis. They're just great house plants in general. And again, this one and our other no ID, they bloom every year reliably. Well, okay. This guy down here, he skipped a year, but he's blooming. This is now the second year in a row, putting on a nice spike. So, or inflorescence, we should say. They're just real reliable. I mean, I love that about the no ID store-bought plants. And of course, like the mottled foliage, I mean, it's not just, they don't all look the same, and a lot of them that are easy to grow, the paphiopedilums, these are so easy to take care of. They bloom again almost every year you can, or every other year, which, okay, fine. But in the meantime, I mean, look at that. They're so cool looking. Any houseplant owner would welcome a plant that looks like that just because it's so cool. There's just so many different leaf types out there, the different colorations and patterns and modeling. And in Phalaenopsis as well, there's many modeled types with variegation. So interesting leaf textures and shapes and sizes. So they're not just, they're not one size fits all. Again, there's so many easy types to grow. It's not just phals and paphs. Things like catasetums, which are considered kind of weird advanced orchids, I think, or not so prominent. I mean, they're not necessarily hard to grow. You don't even have to water them for 4 months. I mean, how easy is that? You just put them in the windowsill for 4 months and they were living. Yeah, we still have to learn them, but easy to grow, generally speaking. We find them quite easy. I don't know. Not easy to bloom for us. And for us, not for everyone. Anyways, thanks for checking in, guys. Hope you're having a good one, and we will see you back here at El Pilar soon.